Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. I'm with Oculus Reviews. Today we're going to review and play Indes VR. Indes VR is a roguelite, procedurally generated bow and arrow game, although it does have crossbows. One thing that happens is each time you get an achievement, you unlock something. With the Bone Collector achievement you see there, you get damage bonus. And you also get, with the Harbinger of Pain, a headshot bonus after you complete those achievements. So you definitely, in this game, each run that you do, you want to get these achievements to unlock things. Probably one of the better ones you can get is Torrent of Blood, and that unlocks the crossbow. And the crossbow is located in Sanctuary, right to your left. And you can pick up the crossbow. I like the crossbow, but it's makes the game a little bit easier. It does shoot very fast, a lot faster than the bow and arrow. For this gameplay, I decided it would be better to choose the bow and arrow just to show the normal gameplay. If you're having trouble, definitely you can go to the crossbow and you'll shoot a lot faster. There is full locomotion in this game, and you can press A to get the different arrows. You also have smooth turning, and you can teleport by throwing a shard. Or you can teleport by shooting an arrow. You can do that by pressing A or Y. You also have your shield there that you use to block incoming attacks or stun enemies. I don't think I did that too much in my gameplay. And let's go ahead and watch some of my gameplay. As you can see, I use both teleportation and full locomotion. If I need to go long distances, it's better to use the full locomotion. And I sometimes use the arrow, the teleportation arrows, but not that much. You definitely want to be going for long distance shots in this game. Again, you unlock stuff by doing the achievements, so you have to look at those to see what you need to do. And in particular, what I needed to do was to get some assassin kills. So I needed to kill enemies before they noticed where I was or noticed me. So I was going for a lot of long distance shots in order to kill the enemies. I do like Indes. It's a very good game. It's one of the best bow and arrow games, but it does have its flaws. One of the flaws that I noticed, or one of the bugs I noticed, is that in the starting area when you grab the crossbow, for whatever reason it would bug out and it would show invisible. One of the mechanics in this game, along with teleportation and using the shield, is a slow time. So when you select your arrow, you can slow time to give you just that extra time to get your bearings and look at the enemies and make your decisions. Once you let go, select arrow, though, the slow time stops. So it needs to be used strategically. Again, just select arrow to slow time, get your bearings, and then once you let it go, it's going to go back to normal time. So it's something to be mindful of. I really like the bow mechanic in this game. The bow mechanic is one of the best, if not the best, in VR. The bow feels fantastic to shoot. The arrow drop, this is just one of the best examples of proper bow and arrow mechanics in VR. I even kind of like the teleportation over the full locomotion. And the reason for that is just a little bit more strategic. It makes the game more satisfying to play. When you can just use full locomotion, you can just use that to dodge arrows. Kind of take some of the gameplay away. That's why I don't use the the shield that much, because I am using full locomotion. But yeah, that's something to be mindful of. It's better almost always to teleport, although if you're having trouble, go ahead and use full locomotion. It'll make it just a little bit easier to avoid incoming projectiles, but also don't forget about the slow time mechanic. One of the great things about this game is there are different arrow types. So you saw there that I used the ice arrow or the freezing arrow, and you do unlock those by, again, completing those achievements. So that's very important to do. And enemies do drop items, as you saw there. That was needed to get my health back up. But it's very rare. The enemies don't drop a lot of items. although I do like Indes, and I think it's a really good game, keep in mind it is a roguelite. The levels are procedurally generated, so you're going to be seeing a lot of the same type of, on the first world definitely, you're going to be seeing it a lot. And after a while, it does all kind of look the same, and not until you get to the pit are you going to see a world that looks something different. And it is quite a challenge to get there. You really have to be focused. And it might take several tries before you get to that pit. And you'll see a portal that'll take you there. One of the other mechanics is the shop. And you can buy different arrows at the shop. And I believe I'm getting near. Maybe not. Anyways, the shop, you can buy different types of arrows or replenish your health. The combat here, you do have to prepare. It really does help to get on the edges of doorways. Just be prepared. There's going to be enemies. There's going to be enemies when you get to a new area. And, stay near the door and just peek around and get ready to get out in case things get very hectic. Probably my favorite part of Indes is just the bow and arrow and just how challenging it is, especially to progress. Currently, I haven't gotten past the pit, so I can get to the pit with no problem. But once I get there, the enemies become a lot more difficult, and it can become overwhelming, especially with all the different types of enemies. In particular, there's this ghost enemy, and you'll see that later on in my playthrough, where they're quite tricky to kill. I'm not sure I figured out exactly how you kill them, but I basically just shoot a bunch of arrows into them to kill them. Definitely, you want to focus on these monks because they can shoot arrows and they can teleport. So they can get behind you without you even noticing, like this one did. You definitely want to focus on them. Since they don't do melee attacks, you can't get very close to them. But you got to be careful because you're usually surrounded by other types of enemies that do melee. So got to be careful with the monks. They're your first kill priority, but they're usually not alone. They usually have other enemies. As you can see, I have another different type of arrow here. Basically, it's like a little shotgun arrow where you shoot the arrow and it shoots several arrows in a little area like similar to a shotgun. And as you can see there, I got a power up to increase my ammo for that type of arrow. Now you see here's the shop that I was talking about earlier, and to look at your currency, you just put your palms up in the air and you'll see. In this case, I really wanted the Cupid, but I didn't have enough money, so I had to settle for the health regeneration. Is it the blood of the lamb? That's what it's called. But I really wanted the Cupid's wrath. I just didn't have enough money for it, enough currency. So yeah, this is a lot of fun. I highly rate this game, but the price point does make me knock it just a little bit, although not too much. The developers have been consistently updating this game, making it better, so I do applaud the devs for that. $30 is kind of steep. Luckily, I got this on sale on the Oculus store for $14.99. At that price, I think it's a great deal. So in the end, I'm going to give this game a 7.5 out of 10. That might sound like a low score, but keep in mind I usually give most games 4, 5, or 6. You know, that's like the average, whether 4 being bad, 5 just being completely average, or 6 being slightly better than average. So once I get to the 7s, it's pretty good. And a 7.5 is actually quite a bit better than a 7. So it just seems like I don't really have room to properly rate games if I just go from 7 to 8, from 8 to 9, because I've never given out a 10. So 9 for me is something that's just totally awesome, and this game is not quite there. At the sale price, I would give this an H because it's easily an H. It's just based on the replayability of this game, how much of a challenge it is. It runs smoothly on my 1060 GTX. The graphics look good. So I really don't have too much complaints about the game. It's just I'm not a big fan of the roguelites, and I know that probably shouldn't make me affect the score, but it does. It does. So you might enjoy it more than I do. Still, I think it's one of the best, if not the best, bow and arrow game in VR. It definitely has one of the best, if not the best, bow mechanic. I'm just not a big fan of retreading same level designs, because even though it is procedurally generated, eventually at some point you do get tired of seeing almost the same thing every time, and I'm definitely was at that point. Now, obviously, once you get more achievements or more deaths or whatever, you do unlock more stuff. So you slowly start seeing different things within that same level. Now I'm going to the Pit of Reformation. So this is a place that I haven't gone very far in, and that's because the enemies are very tough. In this, the ghosts are particularly tough for me, just because it takes a lot of shots to kill one of them. I haven't quite figured out exactly what does it. I used to think that maybe you had to like aim for their heart to get them to kill them, but now I'm not so sure about that. It just seems like they take a lot of arrows to kill, and they come quite fast at you. Although they do seem to slow down once you do damage. So definitely I can handle one, but it's when several of them come at you, or when they come at you along with other enemies, that's where I've been having difficulties. As you can see here, this boss throws fireballs at you that are pretty big, so you do have to avoid them. And now I'm seeing that ghost. I think I finally knocked him down. I didn't get very far here, unfortunately. I made a mistake. I went a little too fast. I was trying not to make this a long video. I ended up being too long anyway, so I had to do lots of edits to cut down the timing of the video. So that's why you're seeing me talk after I've already played it, because I was trying to do the review and play the game at the same time, but it just ran too long. It does take quite a while to get to the Pit of Reformation, at least for me, and I definitely wanted to show some of that so you can see some of the variety in this game. Again, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm being too negative on this game. I think it's a great game. It's just not my favorite game type, if that makes sense. I'm more into story type games. So if my score seems low, if you like roguelites or procedurally generated levels, you might enjoy this game more than me, and you might rate it more than I did. I generally am not a big fan of that game type, but I definitely like this game, so I still recommend it. And I definitely think if you like this type of game type, it's worth the full retail price. But if you're not into this game type, you might want to wait for a sale. But I would definitely get it, even if you don't like this game type, on sale, because I think it does have a lot to offer. You might not play it for a long time like I didn't, but it's a very enjoyable game.